She was an unknown, with nothing but ambition.
You, over here?
He was the professional who'd done it all.
You used to cover the White House.
You still get the coffee.
If this is to tell me I have a lot to learn, I already know that.
What she needed to know,
She eats the lens.
he taught her.
What are you doing? This isn't about lipstick. This is about them. I'll tell you what to say.
I know what to say.
Well, then say it. Get in there. Jam the damn mic in his face.
How do you answer allegations that you profited from drug money?
We keep it loose. Keep it open. We get lucky. Go. It's everything you ever wanted right up there. You got it.
You know what I want.
I've been here before.
So have I.
But then, everything changed.
What's your feeling about Philadelphia?
I don't want to go.
Sure you do.
You could come with me.
I've already been where you're going.
Where have all the good times gone?
Philadelphia.
Touchstone Pictures presents
I have a client in a certain amount of distress. This isn't about you and me. She's in trouble.
You come up here and you fold. If I was into inventing people, believe me, I would have invented somebody a hell of a lot tougher than you turned out to be.
I am exactly the way you made me.
You can do it, and you're gonna do it, only you're gonna do it on your own.
the story of a woman on her way up.
Marry me.
What?
I want you around in the morning.
You already had me around in the morning.
I want to know you're legally required to be there.
A man who helped her get there. And a love
There is no reason why it can't work. All you have to do is give it some space to work.
they couldn't leave behind.
This is Tally Atwater, reporting live in Holmesburg Prison.
Cal, stay against the wall, watch your back.
She's the one who's out there on the line, and the only reason she's out there is to give you something to do.
Actually, I've got something to do.
Robert Redford,
Do you want to be with me?
So much it hurts.
Michelle Pfeiffer,
When I asked you how long you could stay, and you said long enough, how long is that? When we're not together.
Up Close and Personal. A John Avnet film.
And let's be honest, you know why this movie has any sort of memorability, and if you don't, watch this commercial for the film when the film came out, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was because of the song Because You Love Me from Celine Dion. I tried to put the commercial in the video, but every time I uploaded the video got blocked, and it was because of that song there. So, the song by Celine Dion was the reason why Up Close and Personal has any memorability to it whatsoever. So, if you want to look for that commercial on there, be my guest. That's why it's popular. So anyway, back to the review. That song is the only relevant thing that ever came out of this particular movie. It was a big hit for Celine Dion. It was nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song. That song is so important to this movie that they didn't even that was part of their marketing campaign. Sell the song. Don't even bother selling the movie itself because I would say the movie is bad, but I won't go that far. It definitely has a troubled production, to say the least. The screenplay for this actually began as an adaptation of a book about news anchor Jessica Savage and her troubled life and her eventual death in the 80s. This was actually based on an adaptation of that, but the film was heavily altered by the studio. A lot of decisions were made commercially to try to, on the part of the producers, to make it more of a commercial picture. And in fact, the writers of this movie actually later wrote a book about talking about the experience it was having to make this movie called Monster, Living Off the Big Screen, which basically talked about the troubled production of writing this movie. And it's not like the movie is bad or anything. Everyone here is trying their best. Robert Redford and Michelle Pfeiffer are doing the best they can here, but it definitely really does feel like that the movie is just a bland romantic drama that they're trying to sell as kind of an Oscar baitish type of movie. I mean, that trailer alone just filled with so much Oscar baitish type of performances. You see these people just overacting too much, where they're trying their hardest to try to make this work, and it really falls apart. I mean, someone made a good point that it's kind of more like A Star Is Born than it is Network. It's kind of like a mix of Star Is Born meets broadcast news in a way, but it's not. The point of this doesn't really actually amount to anything, honestly. It's a film that really, the effort is clearly there, but there's just nothing there that really makes it worth watching in the end. Plus, honestly, the story that they had originally could have easily made for a more compelling movie. Like, the story behind what happened with Jessica Savage is very intriguing. It's a very interesting story, and I'm hoping that one day somebody actually does a movie about her life, because that's a more engaging story than whatever the hell they were trying to sell in this movie here. Maybe the people who wrote this still have that original script somewhere, or maybe Disney just bought it off of them and just said, you got to do it this way, and it just doesn't work. It's a movie that is so lackluster, it's so boring, it's not a very good romantic drama, but, I mean, despite the best efforts of both Redford and Pfeiffer, it's just a boring movie. It's a movie that tries its hardest to try to get something interesting out of it, but it never really amounts to anything in the end. And really, the original story that they had was so much more compelling and so much more interesting that could have made for a much better movie. But we got this movie, and for what it is, it's just a passable movie. But really, the only memorable thing you're going to take from this is the Celine Dion song, and that's pretty much all you get from it. That's pretty much all I got for you on that one. So that's up close and personal. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Kelsey Grammer in the naval comedy Down Periscope.
The Navy has just assigned the USS Stingray a new crew.
Get your hands off of me!
Skilled in military technology.
Oh, that's a little tickle.
Dedicated to teamwork and camaraderie.
There was a fingernail in my food yesterday. It was a Band-Aid.
Sorry, sir. Band-Aid was holding the fingernail on.
And they're about to get the leader they truly deserve.
Third in his class at sub school.
We're dead.
Cited for tactical excellence.
We have a shooting solution.
He's one of the Navy's finest.
Fire one! Oh, get up there, you miserable little puke.
Lieutenant Commander Thomas Dodge.
Ready to pick up my new submarine? So do you need anything from me? Driver's license, credit card?
There she is right now. Your new boat.
No disrespect to the USS Rust-Oleum here, but this is ridiculous.
Now, together,
It's the crew from hell. What do you think about our boat, Pascal?
I feel I need a tetanus shot just from looking at it.
they'll rise to any challenge.
Lieutenant Blake, you're almost out of uniform.
But you never saw anything like that on one of them big nukes.
And prepare for the mission
You're gonna clean up the Stingray and take her out. What's our mission? Rescue Gilligan?
that will make their careers.
These men love me! Don't go by the book. Think like a pirate.
Let's kick this pig! One rebel diesel.
Prepare for day!
Does he mean underwater? Against the U.S. nuclear navy.
Torpedoes are high.
You are targeted.
Battle stations.
Negative.
Up against incredible odds.
They're on us, sir.
All hands full.
It's up to the crew of the USS Stingray
It's the Orlando.
All hands, we are now going silent.
to use their unique talents
Hear something? Sounds like a whale.
Back with the false alarm.
to beat the Navy at their own
Fire two!
What?
war game.
Sweet!
20th Century Fox presents the movie the Navy doesn't want you to see.
You ever hear the Mile Deep Club?
You ever hear of a salad bar?
Kelsey Grammer,
Polishing the old torpedo, sir.
God, I love this job!
Down Periscope.
What are you doing?
As little as possible, sir.
Buckman!
Let's go!
Thank you, Buckman. That'll be all.
So this is directed by David Ward, who also gave us Major League and King Ralph, and also wrote the scripts for The Sting, which he won an Academy Award for, as well as Sleepless in Seattle. And this was actually the last movie he directed before he eventually went back to just writing and producing movies. But film was not a big hit critically, but it was a hit financially. And I gotta say, man, this movie is pretty damn funny. It's a really funny movie, and I think it works because of the cast that they assemble here. First off, you got Kelsey Grammer in one of his few leading roles in a comedy. I don't think he'd had any other big ones after this. Like, this was right in the middle of his run on Frasier. He comes after Cheers, and this was actually, I believe, the first theatrical release where he had a leading role in it. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I see on Wikipedia here. But He's really good in here playing Thomas Dodge. I mean, he's very funny. He plays the role very well. Has a lot of great funny moments in here. He works off the cast very well here. Great cast overall. You got Lauren Holly in here, Rob Schneider, Bruce Dern, Harry Dean Stanton, William H. Macy, Rip Torn, Kent Hudson Campbell, Toby Huss, Harlan Williams is in here, as you see in there, Patton Oswalt as well. Just a terrific cast in this movie, and they work off each other very well here. Story-wise, we've seen this story done pretty much before. Like, we've seen it done on The Simpsons as well. They made it, at least when they riffed Crimson Tide. And it's basically a comedic version, sort of Crimson Tide in a way. But it is still a very funny movie. It doesn't have to be clever by any means necessary, but it's just very funny. Like, it's very funny what they do here. The jokes in here do work very well. There is a lot of stupid comedy, and stupid comedy can be really funny if it's done very well here, and they got the right actors to do it with. The writing overall is very solid. It's a very solid film. It doesn't do anything that is anything groundbreaking or unique, but it does make you laugh a lot. I really laughed a lot with this movie. Thought it was a very fun film overall, and I really recommend it. If you haven't seen this movie, definitely check it out. I think it's one of the more underrated comedies that came out in the 90s. Like, especially since you had some other comedies like this that were set around the Navy and all that stuff. Like, we had McHale's Navy movie that came out the year afterward, which was not very good. And, yeah, it's a pretty funny movie. And I kind of wish Kelsey Grammer got a chance to do more leading roles in movies like this. After this, he was doing more, like, supporting roles in films, which, I mean, it's Kelsey Grammer, man. I mean, the guy could read the phone book, and he could make it so good that you'd have to give him an Emmy for it. Like, it's basically it's similar to Bryan Cranston. Like, anytime Bryan Cranston does anything, you like, here's your award. Go ahead and do whatever you want. Like, that's what Kelsey Grammer was back in the day, and he still is. Like, Kelsey Grammer, man, like, he's an amazing guy. Like, he is really, really damn good as an actor. And I'm not just saying this because I recently got his autograph. I've been saying that for years and years now. So, by the way, if you want to see that video where I got the autograph, check the corner. But anyway, back to the subject at hand here. Down Periscope, pretty funny movie, man. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. So that's Down Periscope. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Man of the Year.
My tongue. Do you know, I can do that in 15 seconds. Well, I mean, sometimes less. It depends on who I'm thinking about. Hey, are we going to have to tie you down over there? So anyway, oh yeah. So I just kept thinking about Dirk Schaefer all the time, you know? I mean, it was weird how he kept popping back into my life. Like that time that he was on Jenny Jones.
Oh, we realized right away he was good at improvising on the talk shows. It's not every year we get such a good spokesperson. And let's face it, this was the year of the talk show. Betty and I got busy, and we booked him on every show we could find.
The Joan Rivers show, Paul. They were doing a show, Supermodels and Their Fans. They already had Fabio, and they wanted Dirk to come on the air and meet his #1 fan. I asked Dirk, who was your #1 fan?
I'm like Bridget Nielsen. You know, she tracked down Sly Stallone. She ends up marrying him and becoming a star herself.
So obviously this is not the Robin Williams movie that came out 10 years after this by Barry Levinson. No, this is a different kind of Man of the Year. It's a very interesting story when I did the research on this. Apparently, the director of this, and the guy who's the main focus of this, Dirk Schaefer, this is kind of based on his real-life story. He was an American model, actor, screenwriter, and director, but he was most noted in the modeling world for being in Playgirl magazine. He was the 1992 Man of the Year. And Schaefer said that he did Playgirl for validation as a model because he never believed himself to be attractive. And he wrote this story about being a semi-closeted gay man in the world of a heterosexual sex symbol. And his next movie that he did after this, Circuit, basically did a fictional look at the world of gay male circuit parties. So it's a pretty interesting concept for a mockumentary film that they did this. Like, you see a lot of the talk shows in this particular trailer. They have on here Donahue, the Maury Povich Show, Jerry Springer Show. It's a recreation of events like the Playgirl photo shoots, fantasy date with a Playgirl reader, the death of his friend of an AIDS-related illness to relate to the story. It's an interesting concept of a film. I don't really know too much about it. I haven't seen it, obviously, so I can't really go into it as much, but I gotta say, the premise is very intriguing here, and I see a lot of good things about it on these reviews here, so maybe there actually is something kind of amusing about this. It's not something I go rush out to see, but it definitely has some pretty fun ideas to it that probably makes for a very entertaining movie. So That's pretty much all I got on that one. That's Man of the Year. So let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is The Neon Bible, starring Jenna Rollins. Unfortunately, that's the only bit of footage I can get there because there was no trailer for it online. What this is a film based off of a novel by John Kennedy Toole. It follows a boy named David, played by Jacob Tierney, who coincidentally Drake Bell plays a 10-year-old version of this kid. Drake Bell, of course, from Drake and Josh. His abusive father, played by Dennis Leary, enlists in the army during World War II and disappears, leaving David to take care of his mother, Diana Scarwood, and his Aunt May, played by Jenna Rollins, who is a singer. And you see Jenna Rollins singing in that. And that's pretty much everything I know about this movie. I really knew nothing about it until I knew that this was going to be one of the movies I was going to look at. So naturally, I haven't seen the film, so I can't really say too much about it. I looked at that little clip there. It's got some potential. I mean, Jenna Rollins, I don't usually hear her sing all that much, so it was interesting to hear her sing there. Dennis Leary usually is a very good actor. That's pretty much all I got for you on this one. I don't really have too much more to go in on that one, but wanted to bring that one up since that was the last film that came out this weekend, so that is The Neon Bible.
They are flocking to the birdcage.
What?
The #1 smash hit in America. And the falling down funniest comedy you'll see this year.
Bravo!
Time magazine says, a very funny film.
Twyla.
Lane and Williams are two of the world's most gifted comics.
Oh.
And Joel Siegel raves get to flock on over to a theater. This is one funny movie.
It's just what Rush Limbaugh said.
The Birdcage, a Mike Nichols film, rated R. Now played.
The Birdcage is, of course, a remake of the French-Italian comedy La Cage aux Folles from the 1970s, which was actually turned into a musical. I've never seen the original La Cage aux Folles. I've only seen clips of it, and it looks pretty funny. Like, it looks like it could be a really funny movie. But this one definitely looks like a modernized take of that film, directed by Mike Nichols of The Graduate fame. Elaine May is the writer of this. This is actually the first script she ever solely wrote since Ishtar, the infamous flop with Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty from 1987. So 9 years after that movie nearly killed her career, she's back again, and what a way to come back on this one as the solo writer on here. But this is a pretty funny movie. Robin Williams is very good here, so is Nathan Lane. You got Gene Hackman and Diane Wieston here. They have a lot of good comedy in this. Callista Flockhart, Pre-Alan McBeal, Hank Azaria of The Simpsons, Christine Baranski's also in here. They have a really good cast here, and there's a lot of memorable, funny moments in this movie. It's a very slick, very hilarious comedy. It's not afraid to be what it is, and it's just so unique and so incredibly funny. Like, it's a funny comedy that you look at, and you don't mind the fact that this is basically a straight-up gay comedy, and you can watch it even if you're not gay, even if you're not straight. You can still watch this movie and find so much to really admire about it. There's just so much about it that works because of the writing, because of the direction, because of the work of the amazing cast in this film. It's a really fantastic movie. It's a hilarious film. It was a huge hit when it came out, and you can definitely see why. It's still one of the most beloved comedies of Robin Williams' career almost 30 years later. And again, you can definitely see why. There's just so much about it that's so memorable, so unique, so funny. Even if you've never seen the original films, the original La Cage aux Folles trilogy, you can still find a lot here to really enjoy about this film. I can't recommend this movie enough. The Birdcage, fantastic film. Can't recommend that one enough. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
When Chance, Sassy, and Shadow get lost in the big city,
Chance, look out!
a gang of streetwise friends takes them in,
Yo, that dibs on Chubby.
They're cute.
helps them out,
Now!
and shows them how to find their way home.
Next year I plan the vacation.
There you go.
Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
Nice buzz, cuz. Getting a fight with a lawnmower?
Rated G. Starts Friday, March 8th at a theater near you.
I mean, did you see the first Homeward Bound? Then you're probably going to like this one. It's pretty much the same movie. It's just replaced the wilderness elements from the first movie and replace it with San Francisco. It's pretty much the same movie as the first film, as well as kind of taming down the more intense moments. And again, pretty much the same movie as the first film. And is that a bad thing? Not really. I mean, there's still a lot of fun elements to the movie that I can still enjoy, mostly for nostalgia's sake. This is one of those sequels that I saw a lot more than I saw the original film. I saw this one first before I saw the original Homeward Bound, and before I saw The Incredible Journey, the film from the 70s, I believe, 60s, 70s, around, that was based off the previous film in the series. And like Back to the Future 2, Batman Forever, among others. And while Homeward Bound 2 certainly is a retread of the first movie, it definitely still has a lot of redeemable elements to it. I think that work very well here. The voice work overall is still very solid in here. The comedy and the action can be fun. It still manages to be entertaining for a good majority of the film. It kind of reminds me of Beethoven's Second in a way. It's definitely a lot of the same elements from the first movie again, but there are still a lot of fun moments in that film that you can still enjoy, even if you think it's just a retread of the first movie. This is literally a retread of the first Homeward Bound movie, and the original is the better film, the Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. This is still a fun film. If you like the first one, you'll probably like the second one, just like I did. So, that's pretty much all I got for you on that one. Quick one on that one. Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. We have another sequel up next, and that is Hellraiser Bloodline.
The past, present, and future to save mankind on Friday. March 8th. It wants our souls. The final battle begins. Welcome to Oblivion. Hellraiser Bloodline. Rated R. Starts Friday, March 8th.
See, Hellraiser Bloodline did this before Jason X made it cool. Actually, Jason X didn't make it cool. It was actually... okay, it wasn't bad, but it was still not a good movie whatsoever. But Hellraiser Bloodline, this is the last film to be released in the Hellraiser series that actually went to theaters. And it had a troubled production history. Of course, you see the name Alan Smithy there. If you know the story of Alan Smithy, it was an alias back then used by directors who wanted to go uncredited, basically acknowledging that their movies that involved in, are not very good. The director left the production when distributor Miramax demanded new scenes be shot. It was completed by Joe Chappelle. I was trying to find the name for this guy. Joe Chappelle came in to finish it. The new scenes and reshoots changed several characters' relationships, gave the film a happy ending, introduced Pinhead way too early. They cut 25 minutes of the film, and the movie was just a mess on so many levels, so much so that it was also not screened for critics, which should tell you everything you need to know about this movie. It's just like, this was really the end of the road for the theatrical run of these Hellraiser movies. They kept getting worse and worse with every film, and this was also the last one that Clive Barker was involved in until the 2022 reboot came out, which I saw a little bit of the 2022 reboot. I thought that was actually pretty interesting, but I haven't seen the whole thing, so I can't really comment on that one too much, but this is really about as bad as you could possibly get. This is a film that's not that enjoyable. As much as Doug Bradley puts his effort into this, it's still not an enjoyable movie. It's a lackluster installment, one of the last ones of the series with him involved, and actually, no, I don't think he is. I need to do some research. Give me 1 second. Well, that tells you everything I know about this series. Apparently, I thought Doug Bradley didn't come back after this one, but no, he was in most of the Hellraiser movies, including the direct-to-video sequels, so, I mean, more power to him. He liked doing these movies. I mean, Warwick Davis did so many of the Leprechaun movies that weren't very good and went direct-to-video, and those turned out to be good. He probably made a good payday, and he probably had a good time making those films, so who am I to judge? But, what was I even talking about? Hellraiser Bloodline. Just not a very good movie. It's a very bad film. Just because of everything that was going on behind the scenes. That's pretty much all I got for you on that one. So let's move on to the next movie, and that is If Lucy Fell.
Jane. Jane? Beautiful, lovely, tall Jane. I hate Jane.
It's about dating.
Dating? Is your bathroom in?
It's about mating.
I would be perfectly happy to blow your mind, but can we just lie down?
It's a new comedy for the romantically challenged.
Are we boyfriend and girlfriend or not?
If Lucy Fell.
Oh, Lucy, not the hug test again.
Rated R. At theaters March 8th.
Yeah, remember Eric Schaefer? No one? Yeah, I had no idea who this guy is, but apparently when this movie came out, he was kind of a big deal. I mean, they were setting this guy up to be the next big movie star, the next big entertainer, because he had a TV show at the time that actually followed The Simpsons back in 1995, but it unfortunately got canceled after one season. And this movie, he put a lot of money into this. Sony gave him $3.5 million to make this movie, and Nothing ever came out of this guy. I mean, this movie came out, and he kind of disappeared after that. And honestly, this movie doesn't seem like it has a whole lot of promise to it, honestly, despite the fact that it has a pretty decent cast to it. Sarah Jessica Parker, Elle McPherson, Ben Stiller, James Rebhorn, Scarlett Johansson, one of her early film roles. But other than that, it just looks like a mediocre, bland romantic comedy. Nothing too crazy, nothing too interesting, and nothing really all that exciting, honestly. So, quick one on that one. Let's move on to the next movie, probably the best movie that came out this weekend overall, and that is the Coen brothers' Fargo.
We got a shooting.
A story so strange.
There's a high-speed pursuit.
It's got to be fiction.
And then this execution type deal.
A place so real.
You were having sex with a little fella then? Yeah.
It's got to be true.
Oh, yeah?
A brilliant, macabre thriller so utterly original, it could only be Fargo.
Police!
From the creators of Raising Arizona, there won't be a better film this year. Fargo, rated R.
What more do I even need to say about Fargo? It's one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite Coen brothers movies of all time. Frances McDormand, fantastic in this movie, playing Marge Gunderson. Deserved the Academy Award. This movie deserved to win Best Picture. I don't care what anybody says. You know, The English Patient may have been a good movie, but I'm sorry. This was one of the best films of 1996. It should have been the Best Picture winner. I don't care what anybody says. I prefer this movie over The English Patient. I think it is the best movie one of the best movies of the year, and really, I don't think I need to say any more about this movie that hasn't already been said. It's a classic movie, shot beautifully, great cinematography by Roger Deakins, the Coen brothers giving you this great comedy, the direction is very solid, the cast is great, McDormand, William H. Macy, Stu Buscemi, Peter Stormare, just so many memorable lines in this movie. Really, do I need to say any more about it? It spawned a fantastic FX TV series, which is still going strong after all these years. And again, do I really need to say anything else about this movie? If you haven't seen Fargo, do yourself a favor and watch the damn movie. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. Fargo, I love this movie. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is the re-release of Heavy Metal.
Legendary cult classic Heavy Metal traveled to worlds of awesome beauty, erotic fantasy, and terrifying evil. Heavy Metal has been completely remastered in VHX with headbanging music from some of the greatest bands ever.
Oh, wow.
This journey to the incredible includes spectacular, never-before-seen footage.
Help me!
For the first time on home video, Heavy Metal in limited edition collector's packaging. It's louder and nastier than ever.
Of course, Heavy Metal came out in 1981. This is produced by Ivan Reitman. It's funny, Ralph Bakshi always gets credit for this movie, but he always has to tell people, I didn't make Heavy Metal. That was Ivan Reitman. That was the Ghostbusters guy that made it. And this came out in 1981. It was a cult hit for a long period of time. They actually re-released it in theaters this weekend in 1996 to prepare for the video release of the film, which actually sold over 1 million copies. It was very successful on home video. And it's a very unique animated movie. It's a very unique film with science fiction and fantasy stories taken right out of the Heavy Metal magazine. Visually, stylishly, one of the most gorgeous-looking animated movies you'll ever see. It is such a trip on so many levels. Features an amazing cast of people that some of them you may not recognize, but some of them you will definitely recognize. Rodger Bumpass, Squidward from SpongeBob, Jackie Burroughs from Dilbert, John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy's in here, Harold Ramis, August Schellenberg, John Vernon. Just a phenomenal voice cast. Great music by Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Sammy Hagar, Cheap Trick, Devo, Journey. Amazing soundtrack. Just it has left a long, long legacy in cult form. Like, it's a film that really should have a re-release in the same style of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's on that same level of a re-release type of film that could be seen at midnight screenings and would probably get a huge audience going into it. It's just an amazing, amazing film. Stylishly beautiful to look at. Some of the shorts don't work so well, but overall, you just have the time of your life because of how amazing the animation looks. It's amazing that this movie has held up after over 40 years. It's a fun movie, really stylishly gorgeous to look at. Another one I can't recommend enough, Heavy Metal. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is The Star Maker.
Academy Award-winning creator of Cinema Paradiso, comes a new motion picture about the golden age of cinema. Everyone dreams of becoming a movie star.
Directed by the same man that did Cinema Paradiso, this is a film that basically kind of has one plot in general. You're following this photographer and all the various people that he comes across, and probably not the most engaging story, honestly, when you really think about it, compared to Cinema Paradiso. But this is just me judging by the trailer alone. I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really say too much about it. He did make Cinema Paradiso, which is an amazing, amazing Italian film, but so I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. If I ever get around to seeing this movie, there could be something there that maybe I'm just not seeing. Just from what I'm seeing from the trailer alone, I don't think it's really that interesting. But again, I got to watch the movie to see for myself. So that's a quick one right there. On to the next one. We have Chungking Express. Another one I haven't seen, so I can't really say too much about this. This film consists of two stories told in sequence, each about a lovesick Hong Kong policeman mulling over his relationship with a woman. The first one features a cop obsessed with his breakup with a woman and his encounter with a mysterious drug smuggler, and the second one has a police officer roused from his gloom over the loss of his flight attendant girlfriend by the attentions of a quirky snack bar worker. And like I said before, I don't really know too much about this because I haven't seen it, so I know nothing about it, but I mean, it has a following to it. It's been seen by one of the great films of all time. So maybe this is something that could be very interesting, but I don't know for sure. I haven't seen the film, so I can't really say too much about it. So that's Chungking Express. Let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Love Lessons.
Eftersom Albert inte har kommit tillbaka från skolsyster så behöver jag någon annan som följer med mig till kartrum.
Another movie that Box Office Mojo gave the wrong title for. It's called All Things Fair, but in Swedish it's called Lust och Fagring Stor. Literally Great Lust and Beauty. And the clip there you saw pretty much kind of sums up the movie. It's a sexual relationship between a teacher and her 15-year-old student in southern Sweden during World War II. And haven't seen the movie, but we've seen many movies like this, and I don't know what to make of it. I mean, it got nominated for an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, so I guess there's that. Other than that, though, I'm not really sure about this movie overall. I didn't know anything about it before I did this, so I got nothing else for you on that one. So that's All Things Fair, or Love Lessons, or whatever they want to call it. Great Lust and Beauty.
Excuse me, sir. May I help you? Sir?
In an age
Excuse me, sir. May I help you?
when terrorism knows no boundaries and the level of threat
I have a message for the American president.
knows no limits.
I am in control of Flight 343.
Sir, I don't think this is about hostages.
What are you talking about?
A shipment of the nerve toxin DZ5 was hijacked.
Are you saying nerve gas is on board?
Yes, sir, I am. They plan to use the DZ5 and the airplane together to detonate here over Washington.
When global response is routine,
London is demanding immediate action. There's a hatch on the belly of the 747 near the nose.
We could dock there. I know you wrote the book on assaulting hijacked aircraft, but this is 5 miles above the Earth.
I don't think we have any other options.
and advanced technology
Who's this? 007?
can accomplish miracles.
What are you doing up here?
Who the hell else is gonna do it? You?
Opening the air hatch.
A life or death decision
Hope there's a good movie on this flight.
for 400 hostages in a plane
Keep it going.
or 40 million civilians on the ground
You can forget Washington. There's enough nerve agent here to wipe out half the eastern seaboard.
will come down to a choice between the unthinkable
The Pentagon is gonna shoot us down.
and the impossible. impossible.
We'll reach our airspace in 85 minutes.
The hatch has got to be closed down or we'll lose both planes.
Order the F-14s to intercept the 747.
Kurt Russell,
I'm losing control of the airplane.
Halle Berry, John Leguizamo, and Steven Seagal.
We're not going to make it!
Warner Brothers invites you.
We're really going to shoot this plane down, are we?
It's too late. They've already crossed the line.
To fasten your seatbelts.
This is directly from the president himself.
Everybody down!
Now you have your orders. Execute them.
Executive decision.
By the way, nice of you to show Steven Seagal's last scene before he gets killed off. No joke, that's actually the last scene he's in before he gets killed off when he gets thrown off the plane. This is the directorial debut for Stuart Baird. It's a name that you may not be familiar with, but you have definitely seen his work. He's a longtime action editor. He's done many movies, including Tommy, The Omen, a lot of Richard Donner movies. Richard Linklater's a whole different thing, including the Lethal Weapon movies, Die Hard 2, Maverick, Demolition Man. This is the guy whose name has been attached to so many different movies. You may not know his name, but you have definitely seen his work before. This is his first movie he's ever done as a director. And as far as a movie for a director goes, for his first time directorial effort, I've seen worse. It's not a bad movie per se. It's not anything too great either. It's a movie that's just kind of run-of-the-mill. It's a typical terrorist action thriller film. This time the plane is taken over by terrorists. I think a better movie that does this is Air Force One, which came out a year later. But this movie still has a lot of fun elements to it. The visuals are very impressive. The action sequences overall are very solid. The cast overall is very good here. Kurt Russell, Halle Berry, John Leguizamo, even Steven Seagal in a little bit that he's in this movie. Oliver Platt, Joe Morton, B.D. Wong. This has a good cast overall, not just of the main cast, but the names that you may not be familiar with, but once you see their faces, you definitely know who they are. J.T. Walsh, Richard Ryle, trying to look to see who else is. Sean Taub from Iron Man is in this. It's an overall enjoyable film. It's a film that really does work because of how standard it is. It's very much a standard film. I even like that Steven Seagal took on the role knowing that his character was going to be taken out the way he does. Like, we all hear these stories about how Steven Seagal's kind of a pain in the ass to work with on set, but I like that he has a little bit of a sense of humor in this type of movie to actually allow himself to be killed off the way he does in this movie. I thought that was kind of interesting of this particular performance. But other than that, though, this is still a fun little movie here. It's nothing too spectacular, nothing too groundbreaking by any means necessary, but it is fine for what it is. I think it's a very solid film. I think it's a very enjoyable action film all around. Not one of the best films overall, but it's still a ton of fun either way. I give it a lot of credit for doing the things that it does. It's a very solid film. I'd highly recommend checking it out if you're looking for a good, fun action movie. You definitely get it with Executive Decision. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Matt LeBlanc starring in the family comedy Ed.
Meet the Rockets' new third baseman.
Welcome aboard, dude!
He can catch. And he can throw. Cool. But you don't want to let him babysit.
Should I call?
I'm sure they're fine. What's the worst that could happen?
Blast into the kitchen's a rotten egg.
Universal Pictures presents
Bad monkey!
Matt LeBlanc, Ed. Rated PG. Starts Friday, March 15th at theaters everywhere.
And this is why Joey Tribbiani doesn't make any big leading comedies after this particular film. I mean, he does. Matt LeBlanc did do a couple of other movies in more supporting roles, Lost in Space, Charlie's Angels. But yeah, do I even need to say what's wrong with this movie? I mean, let's start with the obvious. The monkey suit is just abysmal looking. It's like Congo all over again. You could let it slide if the movie was silly and had some fun elements to it, but there's just none of that in this movie. This is a lazy comedy that just isn't funny at all. The worst thing about this movie is that it has talent on it. Matt LeBlanc can be very fun. You've got Jack Warden in this. He's been great in a ton of movies. Bill Cobbs is also in this movie. It's written by the guy who directed The Sandlot. The director of this made one of my favorite movies of all time. He was one of the producers and writers on one of my favorite movies of all time, Twice Upon a Time. You may not have ever seen it before. It's a fantastic stop-motion film, animated film from the 1980s. Well, not really stop-motion, but It's a unique animated film from the 80s produced by George Lucas. Very underrated movie. Definitely go and check that one out. But I can't believe that his name is on this as the director. I'm just like, there's no way that this is made by the same guy that made Twice Upon a Time. There's just no way, but sad but true. And that's pretty much the best way you could describe this movie. Oh, and Jim Caviezel's also in here too. Jesus from Passion of the Christ. But like I said, there's not really much more you can say about this. This is a movie that's about as bad as it gets. Unfunny, unenjoyable in all types of levels. Like, Dustin Checks In was way better than anything that this pile of junk came out. And that came with it. That came out 3 months before this movie did, so... Or 2 months before this movie did, but you get the idea. Bottom line, Ed is not a very good movie. And like I said, you wonder why Matt LeBlanc never had any big leading starring roles after this movie. He just kind of went down to being more of a supportive role character in movies that he's in. With that said... On to the next movie, and that is Antonio Banderas starring in the comedy Too Much.
Two sisters fall for the same man. He's got one big problem.
Someone is after me.
Antonio Banderas, Melanie Griffith, and Daryl Hannah. Too Much. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, March 15th.
So I guess that trailer doesn't really show the overall plot of this movie, but basically what happens is Antonio Banderas ends up falling in love with this woman who actually has a twin sister. The twin sister is played by, it's Melanie Griffith and Daryl Hannah, but because of this, Antonio Banderas decides to bring in his twin brother, which he plays a dual role here. That trailer doesn't really show that in there. It's only a little trailer that can show there, but you think there'd be some potential there, but no, this is pretty stupid. This is not a very good idea for a film, especially with Melanie Griffith and Daryl Hannah. There's clearly a difference there in terms of there's clearly a difference there between the two of them, that they're not really all that similar to. They're not really. They don't really look like twin sisters. I'm trying to say, but I mean, this could be something that could be interesting. Could have a very good idea to it, but no, this movie just doesn't have that whatsoever. It's a movie that really is just a lazy excuse to try to make a cheap comedy out of the small budget that they had. But we got Antonio Banderas, who's one of the big rising stars of the time period, and it just doesn't work. It's a film that has some good intentions to it, has a good idea to it, but it's mostly just a forgettable mess of a film. It's just not enjoyable whatsoever, and there's not really much more you can say about it. So, quick one on that one. That is Too Much. Let's move on to the next movie, and that is the documentary The Celluloid Closet.
For example, lots of characters who were known as sissies. And actor-playwright Harvey Fierstein remembers some of them.
My view has always been visibility at any cost. I'd rather have negative than nothing. That's just my particular view, and also because I am a sissy.
Then there
That jeweled lily is very old and very beautiful. I'll show it to you.
Or
May I have this? Of course.
Had to take some clips from that from the Siskel and Ebert review of it because there was no trailer for it. Basically, the documentary is about gay representation in movies, mostly stuff that was changed, that was done during the Hollywood Production Code era. The documentary interviews various notable celebrities connected to the Hollywood industry to comment on various film clips and their own personal experience with the treatments of LGBT characters in films, from the sissy characters to the censorship of the Hollywood Production Code, which is the code of gay characters, and cruel stereotypes to changes made in the early 1990s. This is a documentary that wants to try to examine that, and you also have these various different people that are involved in this. Lily Tomlin is one of the narrators. Tony Curtis is among the people that are interviewed here. Whoopi Goldberg. You saw Harvey Fierstein, Gore Vidal, Paul Rudnick, the writer of The Addams Family, Shirley MacLaine. Tom Hanks is involved in this. John Schlesinger, Harry Hamlin, Susan Sarandon. They get notable names in here. And as you saw in those clips there, they talk about the various ways that in the early days of filmmaking where they got around making gay characters. They made characters that were basically, like I said, known as sissies. Some of them were vampires, and some of them were like mystical. They had like mystic powers and stuff like that. And they talk about it in this documentary and the little bits that I've seen from the little bit of clips I showed you there from the Siskel and Ebert review. But that's pretty much really all I know about this. I haven't seen this documentary, but it seems like a very interesting concept, like to talk about that type of a period in movie history where you had these different people talking about gay representation in film. And actually came out during a drastic time in gay history when Bill Clinton was elected president, and he was the first major presidential candidate to court, and promisingly opened with gay voters. However, that was around the time when we had Don't Ask, Don't Tell pass, and because of that, the LGBT rights movement became increasingly media-focused, and that's why the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation was formed as a national organization, and this documentary came out 2 years afterward to talk about march and protest against homosexual representation in films and TV. That grew as well. And really, gay people were not written well for most of the 1990s. I think it was right around the time around the 2000s, mostly with Brokeback Mountain, where there was more of a better representation of homosexuals in movies and TV, which was done much better than it was around this time period. But that's really kind of one of the interesting factors about this documentary. You get a good idea from the little bits that I've seen about what it used to be like back in the day. How did they get around that type of stuff? And listen to all these different people talk about their experiences with that type of stuff. Sounds like it could be a very interesting documentary. I gotta try to see if I can find the whole thing at some point. But Celluloid Closet came out in theaters that weekend, so that was one of the ones I needed to talk about. So let's move on to the next movie that we have here, which is Land and Freedom.
Fascists, this is what they're doing to us. I want you to join with us. Make our fight your fight. No pasará. They shall not pass. No pasará. I'm going to Spain.
Why you?
We've got to do it. We've got to do it now. We've got to have no future there.
I can't spare you.
Dear Kit, well, I'm a soldier now with the Prum militia. Just ordinary men and women fighting for the cause. There's no saluting. We elect the officers and everything's discussed and voted on.
So this is a film where you're following the story of David Carr, an unemployed worker and member of the Communist Party of Great Britain, who decides to fight in the Spanish Civil War for the Republicans, a coalition of socialists, communists, and anarchists against a nationalist coup d'etat. And that's really all I know about this one. I've never seen this movie before. I didn't even know about it until now. It was nominated for a Palme d'Or. It was nominated at it won the Cannes Film Festival prize of the Ecumenical Jury. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. But that's really all I know about this one. I don't really know too much about it. I just knew that it came out at that time. So that's a quick one right there. That's Land and Freedom. So let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Tarantella, starring Mira Sorvino.
How dare you come in here and tell me how to think about my mother? I'll do just fine on my own.
One generation from the word peasant.
I can't stand this. Get me out of these clothes.
One letter away from village gossip.
I can't do it. It's like eating raw eggplants with the skins on, the bitter skins.
One language away from hidden feelings and ugly caricatures.
What is that supposed to mean?
You're not ready. I'll tell you when we're friends.
So this is probably something that came out to promote Mira Sorvino when she was getting nominated and eventually won the Oscar for Mighty Aphrodite. She plays this woman, an Italian-American professional photographer who has returned to New Jersey, where she grew up, where her mother dies to settle her estate. In recent years, she didn't get along with her and begins to remember her embittered mother when she abandoned her. Around the same time, she begins to rediscover the heritage she rejected a long time ago when she is amongst her neighbors who are packing up the house. She meets a close friend of her grandmother and late mother's who gives her support in this tough time, and also gives Diane her mother's last gift, a secret journal kept by her. And as it is written in Italian, the woman must read it to Diane. This helps her learn more about her mother's history, and as she does, she finally comes to terms with the relationship they had and her own Italian heritage. So that's really all I know about this one. Notably, Frank Pellegrino is also in here, but most notably Matthew Lillard, who would later break out a year later in Scream. He's also in this movie as well. That's pretty much all I know about this movie. I'm guessing that they put this out because of the Oscar buzz that was building for Sorvino and Mighty Aphrodite. So that's really all I know about this movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't really say if it's good or not. But came out in theaters this weekend, so talk about it as well. So that is Tarantella.
Does kill, you know.
Not reliably.
She had the perfect plan
One good drink ought to do it.
for the perfect murder.
He's drunk, he fell in. What do we do now? Wait for the body to surface.
The only thing missing was the body.
Somebody knows. What was he wearing when he disappeared? That isn't the suit there, is it?
Sharon Stone, Isabella Gianni, Chaz Palminteri, and Kathy Bates.
Someone's playing a game with us.
Diabolique. Rated R. Starts Friday, March 22nd.
So this was the movie that Sharon Stone turned the Flintstones down for, and she later regretted that decision, and judging by that trailer, you can kind of see why, because this movie is not very good. It's a remake of a French film called Les Diaboliques, and it's based on the novel She Who Was No More, and the trailer did not really sell this movie whatsoever. Judging by the reviews for this movie, yeah, the movie was not that great. I mean, I saw it one time a couple years ago, but I don't remember a damn thing about it. And what I do remember about it was that it was not very good. It's one of those remakes that should be so much better than it actually is, but it just kind of falls into a very predictable premise and no real surprises. It uses jump scares to try to convince you that this is something that's really terrifying, when really you're just using it to wake the audience up because they're falling asleep watching this movie. And this is directed by the guy who did Christmas Vacation too, and it's just like, yeah, dude, you should probably just stick to comedies or something other than thrillers, because this is not a very good thriller whatsoever. Not helped by the fact that Sharon Stone just really is not really giving her all in this, and it's a good cast overall. Her, Isabella Gianni, Chaz Palminteri, Kathy Bates, Shirley Knight, Donald Logan, J.J. Abrams have a cameo in this, one of their early film roles, but really, when it's all said and done, it's just not an engaging film whatsoever. It's a boring movie. The mystery isn't that exciting. I've never seen the original film, but I could guarantee you it's probably a whole lot better than this movie was. It's just not an intriguing movie. I remember watching it one time, and I literally almost forgot everything about it since then. So that is Diabolique. Let's get to one of the few bright spots of this particular weekend, and that is Spike Lee's Girl 6.
Hottest live talk line around.
She's got talent.
6 for sex, darling.
Dude! And she's got a dream.
You're an actress.
But most of all, she's got a way with words.
Here it comes, baby.
An outrageous new comedy from Spike Lee. Ow! Girl 6.
You know, you were such a freak.
I always was, you just never brought it out anymore.
Rated R. Starts March 22nd.
I should probably say bright spot in quotation marks, because it's a little bit better than Diabolique, but then again, it's not really... Okay, I'll just put it this way. It's not a bad movie per se, but for Spike Lee, you kind of expect a lot more from it. This is an odd movie, to say the least. This is a movie that really did feel like it was all over the place. There wasn't really much of a stable plot to work with, and the overall finished project just seemed weird overall. Like, the performances, I think, worked the best in this. Teresa Randall in this is very good. She carries the movie along. And her and Spike Lee have some good chemistry together, along with Isaiah Washington, who's also in this movie. And once in a while, you do get a good joke and some good banter here and there, but once again, they never really feel like they go all the way with the ideas that they have here. I think the premise is very intriguing, but it says a lot when a movie like For a Good Time Call from a couple years back did this concept a whole lot better than what Spike Lee could do. But then again, it also probably doesn't help that Spike Lee didn't actually write this movie. This is actually the first one that he directed that he didn't write the script for. And I think Lee's writing really would have brought this to another level that could have saved it, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case here. To me, Girl 6 seemed like Spike Lee's first attempt to try to broaden his audience outside the norm, but it just never really came together all that well. At times, they can work very well, largely the performances and some of the comedy and more serious moments, but it felt like Spike Lee was trying to go for a more mainstream approach with this one, but it just didn't connect at all, and it kind of feels lost in the end. But, luckily later this year, he would kind of redeem himself, but with this movie, fine for what it is, but not something I want to watch again, so... that's Girl 6. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, Halle Berry in Race the Sun.
In this high-tech international road race, a group of low-tech kids from Hawaii,
What are we even doing here?
are about to show the world
We're in 30 7th place.
Yeah. They're the hottest team under the sun. Race the Sun. Did we win?
You're joking, right?
Rated PG. At theaters March 22nd.
Halle Berry really said yes to this, didn't she? I think the critical review for this movie kind of says it best. This is kind of like Cool Runnings for solar cars, which does not sound like an intriguing idea whatsoever, and unfortunately the movie kind of feels like that. It doesn't really feel like there's anything noteworthy about this particular film. There's nothing really all that engaging or exciting. It kind of runs through a predictable premise for a film like this. You do have some names in here besides Halle Berry. Jim Belushi is in here, Casey Affleck, Eliza Dushku, Joel Edgerton is in this movie, one of his early film roles, Steve Zahn. There is talent aboard on this, and even the writer and producer of this is one of the co-writers of Rain Man, which won the Academy Award in '88. But other than that, though, this is a corny movie. It's a very predictable film. It doesn't really do anything unique or different to make it kind of stand out over its own. It's a largely forgettable movie, and for good reason. Probably easily one of the worst movies Halle Berry's ever done, and she's as many good movies as she's been in. There have been some really bad ones too, and we're definitely going to get into a lot more of them as we keep going through these years. So, quick one on that one. That's Race the Sun. Let's move on to probably the best movie overall this weekend, and that is Flirting with Disaster.
Mom, why are you doing this? If you had to choose between these parents...
Why don't you leave me alone? Why don't you just...
Or these parents...
Even if you were Jeffrey Dahmer, we would love you.
What would you do?
Is that tyrant your mother?
The New York Times calls it side-splitting and uproarious. Wildly original, rates Siskel and Ebert. 2 thumbs up.
Kind of remind me of my mother.
Flirting with Disaster. Rated R. Now playing select cities Friday, April 5th everywhere.
This is about as good David O. Russell as you can get. This is a film that definitely, when you think of the best of what David O. Russell has done as a filmmaker, this is usually one of those films. It's his second film as a filmmaker, and it's a pretty entertaining movie. It's a very darkly funny, well-casted movie with Ben Stiller, Patricia Arquette, Téa Leoni, Alan Alda, Mary Tyler Moore, Joel Segel. The critic Joel Segel is in this movie. George Segel, Lily Tomlin, Josh Brolin, Richard Jenkins, David Patrick Kelly from Andy Richter Controls the Universe, and just a really good cast overall here. And it is a very funny movie. In fact, there's interesting history behind this movie. Burt Reynolds. I'm getting confused with all these names here. Burt Reynolds, not Bruce Willis. Good Lord. Burt Reynolds was actually up for a role in this movie, but David O. Russell didn't want to work with him after he heard he was abusive on the set of the Larry Sanders Show, which, if you saw the footage that came out later on while they were making I Heart Huckabees, that's kind of a little bit of foreshadowing to what eventually happened there. But hey, David O. Russell's made a lot of good movies. Maybe not as of late. Most of his movies that he's made recently have not been as good as they should have been. I think the last great movie I think he did was Silver Linings Playbook, and that's one of my all-time favorite movies. Honestly, my favorite movie he's ever made, but this is still right when he was slowly but surely building his craft, and it's a really damn good movie. A very funny film, really well done. I can't recommend this movie enough. I think pretty much everybody that knows David O. Russell's work has probably seen this movie, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed by it, by no means. So, that's Flirting with Disaster. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and it's Eric Roberts starring in It's My Party.
You look like you caught your balls in your zipper, Dr. Dave. I have 10 days till I croak, right?
But it could also be several months.
This is my party.
So, woo! There's going to be no wake and no funeral.
Stop it, Dick.
Stop it.
I'm running out of time. It's not my fault.
So It's My Party is one of the first feature films to address the topic of AIDS patients dying with dignity. And actually, this is based on the true events of this director, Randall Kaiser. His lover at the time, Harry Stein, accomplished architect and a designer. This is actually based on his story when he actually had a farewell party that was held for him in 1992. And it's got a pretty solid cast overall here. Olivia Newton-John, Margaret Cho, Bronson Pinchot. You see Eric Roberts in there, George Segel. Again, Larry Grant. Again, with these names, Lee Grant, Marley Matlin, Roddy McDowell, Steve Anton, Bruce Davison, Sally Kellerman, Eric Roberts in there. Of course, there's a reunion for Kaiser and Olivia Newton-John, who had directed her in Grease almost 20 years prior to this. I don't really know much about this movie. It's apparently got some mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but It's Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, you can't really go by that, but I don't know. At least it looks like something different for Eric Roberts. At least we don't usually see him in these type of roles before, so maybe there is something here to it. Maybe there's not. Don't really know for sure. I don't really know too much about the movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it too much. But so that's that one there. It's My Party. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Jack and Sarah.
I got a new job. I'm a nanny.
She's not proper.
A nanny? What's so funny?
She's not fitting.
I think you're a fool.
What's wrong? She's not British.
Oh, right.
But to Jack,
she doesn't need someone who's impressive, Mom. She needs someone who loves her.
She's a breath of fresh air.
Marvelous!
Richard E. Grant, Samantha Mathis.
I know this is against the rules, but...
Jack and Sarah.
So Jack and Sarah's premise is basically Samantha Mathis plays this woman who becomes a nanny in the home of a recent British widower, the widower in this case being Richard E. Grant, and you also have Judi Dench, Ian McKellen, Eileen Atkins among the cast in this. That's pretty much everything I know about this one, because it's another one that I haven't really seen. Can't really say if it's good or not, but I don't know. The stuff in here doesn't look too bad. It actually looks like it's kind of a heartwarming little romantic comedy, but trying to see if there's anything else here about this particular film that I would need to discuss about. The director of this did a lot of worked on the script for Shrek 4, and also was one of the writers on Flushed Away, and he also wrote Letters to Juliet with Amanda Seyfried. But I wish I had some more for you, but that's pretty much about it. I haven't seen this movie, so I don't really know if it's good or not, but that's all the information I could gather on this one. So another quick one there, that's Jack and Sarah. Let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Frisk.
That was my dream, anyway.
I had to cut some stuff from that trailer, because the trailer is actually pretty graphic. This is a first-person narrative about a serial killer who describes a series of ritual murders in letters to his sometime lover and best friend, and his younger brother, an object of desire to Dennis, and to the Dennis being the killer in this. And the trailer for this is pretty intense. Like I said, I had to cut a lot of stuff out of there because it does get a little bit more graphic than you would expect for a trailer like this. And I haven't seen the movie, honestly, so I can't really say too much about it. But the reviews for it do not really sound all that interesting or exciting, despite the fact that there is possibly some good, well acting in this. You also have Parker Posey in this, as well as Alexis Arquette. But yeah, other than that, I really do not know too much about this movie. And quite honestly, the way this trailer is presented, it's an odd trailer, I will say that, and it doesn't really make me want to see this movie, even though it could end up being pretty good, but I sincerely doubt it. So I'm just gonna move on and go to the end of the show.
In today's army, one name stands for pride. One name stands for courage. One name stands for honor. One name stands alone.
Bilko! Yes, my colonel. We have rules and regulations.
Sergeant Ernest G. Bilko.
Let's go, campers! Wakey, wakey!
I'm talking about a gambler. A conniver.
Any one of these men would take a bullet for you. Well, not in the chest.
No, not in the chest. Certainly.
A man who will sell you your own mail.
Doesn't the Army issue towels?
Army! Get him a set of towels. The fluffy ones. The introductory price.
He's calm under pressure.
Now, where did that one go? Brass!
Cool under fire.
We discovered a number of possible irregularities.
Sergeant Milko! Colonel Hall, you look fantastic, sir. Have you lost weight?
And courageous under attack.
Make the bad man stop.
This spring, from Universal Pictures and Imagine Entertainment, comes a man whose methods
Let's do the grab the rifle by the bottom thing.
are anything but approved.
You book me up for revelry?
Drop and give me 20.
Whose orders
All right, 1. We're going for 1.
are anything but regulation.
Are these yours? It is my understanding that you can no longer ask me these questions, sir.
And whose training is anything but basic.
He wet his bed.
Oh, well, once in a while.
No, he did it from across the room.
Steve Martin, Dan Aykroyd, and Phil Hartman.
I'm just so damn proud.
Sergeant Bilko.
Bilko!
This is, of course, an adaptation of the Phil Silver show. He was called on that show Sergeant Bilko, or simply Bilko. This is basically a modernized version of that, written by Andy Breckman, who later go on to create the series Monk, and Jonathan Lynn, who had just done My Cousin Vinny and also Greedy. And it's just a really funny movie, man. I love this movie. It's a very underrated film. Not a whole lot of people really talk about it, honestly, but I gotta say, man, this movie makes me laugh pretty hard. This is a really damn good movie. Steve Martin is just perfectly cast as Bilko. I mean, he just has that he uses that great charisma that makes Steve Martin such a great comedic foil, like that asshole attitude to him. It's just perfect for this role here. Dan Aykroyd's very funny in this, so is Phil Hartman. We've got a really good cast overall here, including Glenn Heady, Pamela Adlon, Austin Pendleton, Chris Rock, Deborah Jo Rupp, Daryl Mitchell. Just a phenomenal cast in here. The movie is absolutely hilarious. There are moments in this movie that make me laugh so hard every time I see it. Like when he's writing, all he has to do is write the word plan on the chalkboard. But no, he can't do that. He has to spell it backwards as he's spelling it out correctly. Like he's a P-L-A-N plan, and then he's like P-A-L-N, and he looks at the thing and he's just like, damn. And it's just like, stuff like that is absolutely hilarious. And there's a lot of that in this movie. This is a really underrated comedy, honestly. I don't think a lot of people ever talk about it, but this is a really damn good movie. I really laugh a lot every time I watch this movie. It's a pretty funny film. If you haven't seen this movie, you are doing yourself a huge, huge disservice by not checking this movie out. It's a fantastic film. I can't recommend it enough. A very underrated comedy. Sergeant Bilko, by all means, please check it out. So that's Sergeant Bilko. Let's move on to the re-release of the weekend, and that is Disney's re-release of Oliver and Company.
When you got your pals, you got all you need.
Yeah!
This spring, the movie that put a new twist on the timeless tale of Oliver is returning to theaters.
Absolutely.
It's Disney's animated classic,
Ooh, yeah.
Oliver and Company.
Isn't he cute? Mom and Dad just said I could keep him.
Check it out.
All right, kid. You yo-yos clear out, and I mean now. He kidnapped Oliver. Get away from me.
You've got 12 hours. We'll get it back.
That's right, man. He's family. He's blood.
Let's do it. This spring, the gang that has comedy wired and attitude to spare is back. With songs performed by Bette Midler,
Could I see you for a moment privately?
ooh, Ruth Pointer, Huey Lewis, and Billy Joel.
Why should I worry? Why should I care? It's just a big population. We got to feed our population.
It's the one and only Oliver and Company, and it's only in theaters.
This is torture. Chain me to the wall.
Now, since I've already covered this movie, in fact, it was actually one of the first reviews I ever did on this show. I'll go ahead and put a link to the first episode so you can check that out. But the question now is, why would Disney re-release this particular film? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, we're going to find out in just a little bit that there was another animated film that came out this weekend. And you know how Disney likes to try to stop the competition from trying to steal their money, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they did this. But another reason is, Oliver and Company never got a video release after it first came out. Like, it's very interesting to think about it, but The Little Mermaid was actually the first modern Disney movie to get a video release less than a year after it came out in theaters, and that was a big deal back then. But Oliver and Company, it took 8 years to finally get it available on home video, and it started because of this trailer that they put, this re-release they had out there. That's probably the only new interesting aspect I have to this, but like I said before, I already reviewed this movie before on a previous episode, and my thoughts on it still stand. I think it's a very underrated Disney movie. It's not as good as the movie that came out on the same day that this did, The Land Before Time, but I still love this movie a lot. I love the animation, I love the music, I love the voice work, I love the comedy. It's just a great underrated Disney film. If you want to go see more of my in-depth review for this, like I said, I'll put a link to the corner from the first time I looked at this movie on the first episode. But that was one of the big new releases this weekend, the re-release of Oliver and Company. So, moving on to the next movie, and that is Robert Duvall and James Earl Jones starring in A Family Thing.
She left him something he never knew he had.
Are you Raymond Murdoch?
A brother.
Oh, Lord.
But they've got a lot to learn.
How's it feel? How's what feel?
Being colored. About relating to each other.
I might as well be on Mars to be up here with y'all people.
I mean, y'all people.
Ray, get in here. I said get in here.
You want me to call the police?
No, ma'am. We're just talking.
A Family Thing.
I ain't gonna bite you.
I ain't gonna bite you either.
Rated PG-13. Check local listings for sneak preview Saturday, March 23rd.
This is actually a really underrated movie. You basically have Robert Duvall playing somebody who finds out that his biological mother was actually an African-American maid, and thus he ends up having a brother played by James Earl Jones, and it's just them trying to get along, and it's a very interesting concept, and it leads to a surprisingly effective movie. You also have Irma P. Hall, who plays Ray's aunt in the movie, and one of the interesting things I didn't know about this until now was that Billy Bob Thornton was actually one of the writers on this movie, and this was the year where he also wrote the script for Sling Blade and eventually starred in that film. But that's very interesting to note about this movie. I remember watching trailers for this back in the day, thinking maybe it could be interesting, but I never really saw it until most recently. And I gotta say, I thought it was a very underrated film. I think it is a very underrated film. You know, Robert Duvall and James Earl Jones are giving these really strong performances. There is a lot to really like about this movie. I think it has a lot of heart to it. It has a lot of good comedy to it. It's a very good film overall. It's a really nice film. It doesn't really have to go completely over the top or do too much to really get the message out there. I think it does more than enough to really cement itself as a surprisingly effective movie. It's a very underrated film. If you want to see Robert Duvall and James Earl Jones in some of their most underrated works, this is definitely one of them. I'd highly recommend checking out A Family Thing. So that's that, and let's move on to the next movie, the previously mentioned animated film that came out this weekend, and that is the sequel to the original 1989 Don Bluth film, All Dogs Go to Heaven 2.
This Friday, we're going back! MGM Family Entertainment invites you to be a kid again and share the magic. As one of the most popular animated films in history adds an all-new adventure.
The fun hasn't even started yet.
All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. Rated G. Starts Friday at theaters everywhere.
I mean, the original All Dogs Go to Heaven is kind of an underrated gem for me, at least. To say it's one of the greatest animated films of all time is kind of pushing it. One of the biggest animated films of all time, kind of pushing it as well, because you lost out to The Little Mermaid when this came out. I mean, if you look at this trailer, you can kind of know right away that this is not anywhere near as good as the first movie. I mean, for one thing, the animation does look terrible. You cannot convince me that this was originally supposed to be a direct-to-video movie, and then someone says, let's put it on the big screen because All Dogs Go to Heaven is a property, and we can actually make money off of it. And especially if you watch the high-definition version of it that's been playing on TV, it looks even worse than you probably would expect it to be. And not only that, the overall story really isn't all that good. You've got Charlie and Itchy returning to Earth to find Gabriel's horn, and then along the way they meet this kid named David. And it's basically kind of a retread of the first movie all over again. It just replaced Anne-Marie with this kid, and the new kid is so vanilla and plain, and you could definitely tell that this was a film made in the 1990s, and it just didn't work. The original movie didn't work that way because it took place didn't take place in modern times. Actually, it's like, I can't remember if it took place in the 40s or 50s, but I think it was somewhere around there. I need to double check this. I wasn't off by too much, 1939 New Orleans, but you could definitely tell this takes place in the early 90s. The ending to and one of the other reasons why it doesn't work is that the ending to the first movie worked. Charlie sacrifices his life to save Anne-Marie from a fire, and the ghost of Charlie comes back to apologize, and eventually Annabelle, the dog equivalent the dog equivalent of God in this movie, who banished Charlie from heaven from the first time around, basically tells him he can come back into heaven. And so it had a heavy, happy ending. Yeah, Charlie's going to heaven, but he's apologizing for his actions. But in here, it's just your typical happy ending. He gets the horn back, and he basically gets a chance to go back to Earth. And it basically is one of the most cliched, riddled endings that perfectly sums up why it's a lackluster film compared to the first film. The songs themselves even aren't that great either. I mean, none of them reach the memorability of the songs of the original film, and most of them are just forgettable. The only song that I thought kind of worked was the first song, that "To Heavenly Here," and even the song that Sheena Easton does in this is actually okay, but it's nothing too spectacular. And I'll give the movie credit. Some of the voice acting is better here. Like, I do think that better's not what I would say. It's as good as the original film. I think Charlie Sheen does a pretty good job as a replacement for Burt Reynolds playing Charlie. Dom DeLuise, you're always going to enjoy him in there. Bebe Neuwirth in here as Annabelle, and Ernest Borgnine as Carface actually work pretty well. The newer voices actually work pretty well too. But other than that, though, this is a largely forgettable sequel. The original All Dogs Go to Heaven kind of holds this place in my heart and my childhood. It's a film I used to watch all the time. It's a movie I still watch today, even after all these years. But this is a movie that is just so lame and so bad. It's an insult to the original film. And the fact that this actually convinced them to make not only a Christmas movie after this, but a TV series, which actually looked a lot better than this movie did, it just tells you all you need to know about this. This was basically made to cash in on the original success, but it's a bad sequel. It's poorly animated, poorly written, poorly executed. It's one of the most lousy animated movies to ever hit the big screen, and that says a lot, really. So anyway, that's All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Carried Away.
I want to make you happy. You do make me happy.
In a quiet country town in the American heartland, a teacher.
Hey! Tonight's your place or mine?
Mine.
A widow.
We should just make up our minds.
I already have, 6 years ago. You're a bit slow.
And a new student.
Well, now, who might you be?
Are about to share a secret.
I believe you've met my daughter, Catherine. How are you today, Catherine?
Good, thank you. There's a girl in your class that's got a crush on you. Does she have a horse in your barn, too?
A seduction.
She's not exactly your basic little farm girl, is she?
I mean, we've pretty much seen this story done over and over again. If you can't figure it out, you have this guy who's a middle-aged school teacher played by Dennis Hopper, which... middle-aged. I mean, Dennis Hopper, I think, was in his 60s when this came out. Yeah, he was 60 when this came out. Middle-aged my ass. He's a middle-aged school teacher who lives on a farm with his dying mother. There's no excitement in his life, even in his long-term relationship with a widow played by Amy Irving. However, when a 17-year-old beauty enrolls in his class, life takes an unexpected turn. She boards his house in this barn and then seduces him, carries on a relationship which leaves him torn between the passion and knowing that he is doing something wrong. And do you really need me to explain what else goes on in here? I mean, we've seen this done over and over again, and it's always going to end up in the exact same way. It's just like, do I really need to explain what probably happens at the end of this movie? I've never even seen this movie, but I can guarantee you what happens in it happens. What I think happens in it happens in this movie. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think there's anything that's new or different about this. But other than that, Gary Busey's in here too, apparently. So is Hal Holbrook. And that's pretty much all I know about this movie. I mean, that premise alone is really more than enough to probably make me never want to see this movie, honestly. I don't think I ever want to see this film. And that's pretty much all I got for you on that one. That's Carried Away. So let's go to the next movie, the last movie, I should say, and that is Denise Calls Up.
Hello?
Who's this?
Martin?
Martin Wiener?
Who is this?
Wrong number.
Who's Denise? We'll never know. Actually, we do know. It's actually Alana Ubach, who... That name may not sound familiar to you, but trust me, if you've seen her in person, if I actually showed you a picture of her, you'd probably know who it is. You've definitely seen her in a lot of stuff before. She's been in stuff like... She was in Legally Blonde 1 and 2. She was also in Meet the Fockers, the Brady Bunch movie, Sister Act 2, Waiting. She's done stuff in TV like Euphoria, The Flight Attendant. She's done a lot of voice work. She was in Rango. She was in Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, Pound Puppies. I'm telling you, if I put her picture up there, you definitely know who it is. And if I do that, here it is right here. But that's not the point that we're trying to make here. The point is, I'm just trying to fill time here because I've never seen this movie, but To give you kind of a sum up of what this is, it's basically another one of those type of comedies we got during this time period where you're following a group of friends in New York City who, while working at their PCs and laptops, are keeping in touch by phone and fax, never seem to be able to get together. And it's one of those type of ensemble comedies where you have all these different stories going on, and you follow them, the chaos that ensues, and then you eventually get everybody together at the end of the movie, which could be a decent thing. I mean, this has a pretty good cast to it. You got Tim Daly, Dana Wheeler-Nicholson, Lee Schreiber's in this, Ada Turturro, the previously mentioned Alana Ubach. There are some good people involved in this, and the film has some decent reviews to it, too, so who knows? It might actually be something kind of decent. It's not something I'd rush out to see, but, I don't know, maybe it could be something. So yeah, anyway, that's Denise Calls Up.